This is an M-rated game, so viewer discretion is advised. Family Man! It's that time again where we go back into the eShop dumpster to see if a game is worth the small price I paid for it. The story is about your character who has been framed by the mob for murder. They use this to blackmail you into paying them every day for 20 days, with increasing amounts of money. You're unemployed, so you're going to need to find a way to make money every day or it's game over. There are a few ways to do this. You can work a low-paying job, collect trash, or if you don't mind getting dirty, you can kill people. You'll also have to balance your family life, which has a meter for cleanliness of the house, food, health, and happiness. These meters go down much faster than you might expect. You do missions and get items to increase it, but most of them only increase it a little. And this is the gameplay loop. You work to pay the mob, keep your family happy, and explore the town. The biggest issue with the gameplay is actually the timer, and you only have till the end of the day to get the money for the mob. And you also have to have some extra for your family, and that time will move way quicker than you might expect. It makes the game much harder than it should be. You better know what and where you're going ahead of time, or most likely you're not going to make it. This was an issue for me on day 4. I was struggling to pay the mob and feed my family. If you zero out any of your family stats, it's game over as well. I just couldn't believe how difficult this game was so early. I decided to restart my game. I was going to balance my play much better until I figured something out. On day 1, they tell you to go home and the timer stops. Normally it keeps going until midnight where you'll pass out unless you go home. With the timer stopped, that means I could explore the town, collect trash, and do jobs as long as I want. The job stopped coming fairly quick, but the trash was much more interesting. Once you collect all the trash, just go into your house or get arrested and it all reloads and you can just do it all over again. You can find really good trash to sell. And after an hour of grinding, I had over $1,000. This would get me through over half the game without ever having to worry about money. I could just enjoy the game and explore. Now during this time I did kill a few animals, but it took down the town's karma system and muggers would randomly show up. These muggers were some of the most lazy people on earth. They would threaten you and then if you backed away a few steps, they would just stay there in a running animation, but they won't bother you. And it was always easy to get away from them. After I had all the money I wanted, I was just gonna go home and start day 2 when I noticed another interesting thing. The job board in my house was active, so I did the 2 jobs, and then I wanted to see what would happen if I left the house and came back. And guess what? 2 more jobs popped up again. So I spent another 30 minutes leveling up my character. You got 100 experience points every time you finish a job, and you could do this forever if you want to, but this trick only works on day 1. Here's a suggestion. There's a perk system where you can make things easier, and the highest costing perk of 5 points is to slow down the timer, and that should be your first goal. I think once the timer was slowed down, the game became much more enjoyable. I think it set it to half speed, but I couldn't confirm that. Now the open world is small enough at first to not be frustrating, but the timer goes by so fast it makes you not want to explore it, and you're just going to want to stay on task because normally you would just need the money in order to pass the day. So it was a little bit disappointing that unless you cheat and get a lot of money ahead of time, you really can't explore too much, unless you really know what you're doing. Quite often you come across people who ask you to do them favors, and sometimes you could have 2 different outcomes you could choose from. This will affect your ending, so choose wisely. This may not shock you, but I got the worst ending when I first played this game, because I didn't choose wisely. I really did like the intro to this game. It has you moving through locations and the time passing. You see the person that you're marrying, and the wedding day, and your child being born, all in the span of 5 minutes as you're walking through the world. I thought it was very clever. Now I did have some issues with crashing. It happened about 3 times while playing this. The game saves a lot and you can also save, so it's not a huge deal, but it sure was annoying. Family Man was better than I expected. The gameplay loop does get a little bit repetitive, but if you're completing the story missions, there should be new things for you to do every day. I didn't like how difficult this game could be so early, and the money you get from normal jobs was often not that much. Trash picking was definitely the quickest and best way to make money, but it won't advance the story. Now this is normally $19.99, and I would say wait for it to go on sale. How about for the same price I got it for, $1.99? That's a fair price for this. Maybe even a little bit more is justified. Not a lot more. The world is interesting to explore, and the ending was unexpected. If you like open world games where it has a simple goal, but a few different ways to get there, you might like this. But definitely wait for it to go on sale.